Welcome back to This is a Commander channel, where this is a Commander channel, and today I'm going to talk about Commander, tough rules, and cool interactions, episode 13. This episode is going to look at some interesting things involving creature token creation. It's going to start out easy and then quickly ramp up into difficulty. There are a few token making cards in Magic's history, but the newest Kamigawa set gave us two new sorceries that make some interesting creature tokens, and they can interact with some other cards in a pretty strange way. This episode is going to talk a lot about replacement effects, but I'm not going to list any specific rules about this, so if you'd like to look more into replacement effects, you can find more about them in the comprehensive rules linked down in the video's description below, and you'll find that in section 614 in the comprehensive rules. I've got a lot of episodes planned in the future that go much deeper into replacement effects, so be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss those episodes in the future. This episode will mostly focus on the sentence structure of the cards because that's a very interesting part of Magic cards and how literally the text can actually be taken. So let's start off super simple. You have out a doubling season and you cast Acorn Harvest. How many squirrels will you end up with? Clearly the answer is going to be you get 4 1/1 creature squirrel tokens. Let's change it up, and instead of doubling season, you have out a Divine Visitation when you cast your Acorn Harvest. What will you end up with? You'll create 2 4/4 white angels with flying and vigilance. Again, not too tough. One more simple one. Now instead of Divine Visitation, you have out a Chatterfang Squirrel General when you cast your Acorn Harvest. What will be added to your battlefield? You'll end up with 4 total 1/1 green squirrels, just like when you had doubling season. All 3 of these were pretty simple because the card that we were using to make the tokens was nice and simple. The recent Kamigawa set gave us 2 new sorceries that create some more interesting creature tokens: Iganjo Uprising and Invoke the Ancients. And I hope I'm pronouncing Iganjo correctly. Let me know in the comments down below if I'm butchering that. Seeing them on screen now, you may already see where we're going with this, so let's jump into casting Iganjo Uprising. Again, you have out doubling season, but now you cast Iganjo Uprising with X equal to 5. What happens? First off, I want to point out that Iganjo Uprising does make tokens for your opponents, but your doubling season will not impact the tokens that your Uprising creates for them because of Rule 111.2. So, in this case, they will just get 5-1, so 4 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. But you will end up with 10 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance, menace, and haste. The menace and haste till end of turn. And now is where we're going to start getting to the interesting stuff. Now you've got your Divine Visitation out, and you again cast your Iganjo Uprising with X equal to 5. What happens? Again, because of Rule 111.2, the token results for your opponents will be unaffected by the Divine Visitation. But what do you end up with? I'm going to stop talking for just a bit, and I'd like for you to pause the video so that you can actually really read these 2 cards carefully and try to guess what the full results will be. Okay. Uprising will try to make the 5 creatures, but the Divine Visitation has a replacement effect that is going to alter what ends up being created. Clearly, there is something odd that will result if I'm making this video on it, so I'm hoping that some of you did catch on to the little details, but many of you probably did not. Many of you have probably guessed that you will instead create 5 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. And if that was your guess, it would indeed be wrong. But that's okay, because I've seen a lot of players get this sort of thing wrong with other similar cards to Eiganjo Uprising when a Divine Visitation is out. So let's read Eiganjo Uprising's first part closely. It says, quote, "Create X 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. They gain menace and haste until end of turn." End quote. So if you read that quick while you're in a game, it's easy to think why you'd end up with 5 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. What you'll actually end up with is 5 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying, vigilance, and they will have menace and haste until end of turn. This is all because of the wording of the spell. What Visitation actually replaces is the qualities or characteristics of the tokens that Uprising created, which are 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. That's what the tokens actually are. And an easy way to visualize this is to actually see the tokens of them. Here we can see the actual samurai tokens that you'll get in the precons and the packs for the new Kamigawa set, and we can see that the only keyword ability that they have is vigilance, and that's because of the wording from Uprising. There's a period and then a whole new sentence that says those creatures then gain menace and haste until end of turn. That part isn't replaced by Visitation, and that's why the angel tokens are also given menace and haste until end of turn. So now let's take a look at having Chatterfang out when you cast the Eiganjo Uprising for X equal to 5. Chatterfang still lets you create the original tokens, so you will have 5 2/2 samurai tokens with vigilance, and then also they have menace and haste until end of turn. But you'll also have 5 1/1 green squirrels with no vigilance, but they will have menace and haste until end of turn. On your next turn, none of those samurai or squirrels will have menace or haste, and only the samurai will have vigilance. Pretty cool. But now let's take a look at the other spell that we got in Kamigawa, Invoke the Ancients. Instead of giving keywords in the characteristics of those creatures themselves, or giving them a continuous effect of a keyword until end of turn, Invoke the Ancients lets you place some counters onto the creatures. So let's start with the easy one as always. You have out Doubling Season and you cast Invoke the Ancients. What do you get? Again, it might really help to look at the actual creature token card that you can get in the packs. Clearly, you'll end up with 4 total 4/5 green spirit creature tokens. But I've talked with some people and they thought that what you would get to put on is 2 different ability tokens on each of those spirits. But sadly, you do not. For each of the individual tokens, you will pick one of those 3 options: Vigilance, Reach, or Trample. And then you will place 2 of those ability tokens onto each respective creature token. Sadly, each of these abilities don't get better by having 2 of them on the creature, but if you do have anything that happens to move counters around, or if you have anything that cares about the number of counters on creatures, you will see some benefits there. Now let's go back to the spicy card again, Divine Visitation. What will happen when you cast your Invoke the Ancients when you have out your Divine Visitation? Feel free to pause the video again if you want to read and take a guess. So, what you'll end up with is 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance, and then for each of those 2 angel tokens, you'll get to put your choice of a vigilance, reach, or trample counter. In this case, the angels already have vigilance, so there's not much reason to pick that one. They already have flying, so there's really not much reason to go with reach, which means you can decide to give both of them a trample counter. Because these are counters though, after you end your turn, they will still have the trample ability, unlike how with the Eiganjo Uprising, the angels only got the menace and haste until the turn that you actually created them. And lastly, you cast your Invoke the Ancients while you have out your Chatterfang. What will you end up with? you will get 2 4/5 green spirit creature tokens, and then also 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. And then for all 4 of these creature tokens, you will get to pick one of those 3 ability counters to place on each individual one. Again, they'll have those abilities after you pass turns. Okay, that's the end of the episode. Well, not quite. All right, I'll end it by giving you 2 bonus scenarios. Scenario 1, you have out Divine Visitation, and you cast Iganjo Uprising with X equals to 1. So you make 1 4/4 Angel, and then on that same turn, you cast Clone, and you have it enter as a copy of that 4/4 Angel. What does that clone look like? Scenario 2. You again have out Divine Visitation, and you cast Invoke the Ancients, creating 2 4/4 Angels, and you decide to put a trample counter on each of them. And then again later that turn, you cast Clone, and have it enter as a copy of one of those 2 angels. What does that clone look like? Alrighty, that actually is the episode. I look forward to seeing any answers in the comments below for the 2 bonus scenarios. This channel is very new still, and also incredibly small, so I don't actually know if anyone will even make it this far to the end of the video and actually type up their guesses in the comments down below. But if any of you do, I'm going to give you an internet high five. I hope that many of you have learned something from watching this video, and I hope that you found it entertaining. I've got over 100 more episode ideas, so I look forward to making those over the next few years. Have a good one. Ta-ta. And now we're just going to keep talking and talking and talking. Let's see what I sound like when I'm back here. We'll see if it does the popping sound and whatnot. And yeah, if we move the pop filter, I don't know if the pop filter changes if I put it like right up on my mouth. Does that change things? Let's try it. If I talk right here like I was talking earlier, when it's up close to the microphone, I'm talking like this. Pop, 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 pop. That's with it close to the microphone, and this is with it even closer to my mouth. I wonder if there's a difference between and now close to the microphone, and talking, no pop filter, close to mouth, far from mouth, pop, 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 close, pop, 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 pop. All right, it friggin' cuts out stuff again. At this point, I'm just gonna punch this stupid thing in the face.